Hello and welcome back to String Zero. We will be continuing where we left off, which, if you recall, is after... I already forgot everyone's names again. The protagonist, he returned home to find his father speaking with Tarolf, I believe. Like, big wolf dude. Kind of threatened his, kind of threatened his father in a little bit. And, also the son's... not the son's. The Tarolf's son was also there, who's apparently going to be staying with them because they are going to be working together for something. Which I forget already, unfortunately. Ravi, yeah, Ravi. Was like a little like, what is this guy doing here? And he was trying to eavesdrop, but apparently, Tarolf figured out that he was eavesdropping. He had something to sort of block the surveillance things that they have in there. He ended up meeting his contact though, Ravi did, who is like a jackalope. Didn't seem too impressed by Ravi, or was acting like that because Tarolf was right there. There was a conversation between father and son, and where the father was trying to explain his reasons for being the way he is, for keeping things from Ravi and some other stuff like that, but like Ravi wasn't having it and stuff like that. If you want a refresher, go watch the other videos. But yeah, anyway, so I guess without further ado, let us continue. Arc 1 Winter's Jazz. Chapter 3A. Contrafact? If I recall correctly, they did separate the third chapter because it was really long. Stars. Ravayan. No. Ravayan. Sunlight. What are you looking for, Ravayan? It's so bright. I shade my eyes, looking up from the water. Endless and forever, the sky breathes. I know this place. Aromatic trees, the sweetness of ripe fruit, wet moss. I'm standing on the glasswater cliffs. Its namesake roars over the edge near my feet. Spray dispersing into mist. Beneath us, the lush palms and bamboo of the Ryan riverlands fade into an emerald blur. Pelagic sapphire and sandy gold. A world between worlds. Forest, ocean, desert, and the mountains beneath us. Here we're surrounded by infinity. Here we're connected to. Are you looking for she who stole the stars? It's gonna be sunset soon. My mouth opens before I even remember who this is. Don't be stupid, Shaylee. She's asleep in the story time now. She gave back the stars a long time ago. Oh, a memory. This is the day that it all started. Do you ever listen during lessons? Shaylee climbs up the rocks, joining me at the cliff's edge. I turn to look at her, grinning. She's older, maybe 9 or 10. Her dark hair is a tousled mess full of twigs, the same as mine. She rolls her eyes. Oh, my mistake, Grumpy. Maybe I'd listen harder if your dad didn't talk so much. You're grumpy. She laughs, a sharp chirp, resting a hand on my shoulder as we look down over the valley. Maybe a little. But only because I want your dad to get to the good parts. I want to hear the stories of adventure, not the history of every single Waj. Don't let the Waj hear you say that. Shaylee crosses her arms. They probably feel the same way. What do you think, Wash? She turns to the river, waving at it. It continues rushing by. See? They don't care. Anyways, what are you really looking for? It'll be dark soon. I'll get in trouble for letting you stay up here. I'm looking for the army. Dad said a merchant saw them coming from the desert. If they're returning from a battle, they might have Racian warriors with them. What? Really? We'd never met a Racian warrior. All the Shrad Haswar is rich with stories of their battlefield heroics, of their shimmering holographic weapons and armor, summoned and powered by the blessed radiance. Those stories are Shali's favorite, much more than dumb Awaj, who never do anything but hide in rocks or trees. Or rivers. She shields her eyes from the setting sun and points to a distant convoy snaking into the scrublands. Is that them over there? Past the river? Yeah, probably. But it's too far to see anything. Too bad. You don't think that they'd cross the desert to attack Sargos, do you? Nah, it's too far. They'd go by boat from Vacas. Oh? How do you know? You a Sen guy now? She elbows my side. Weren't you one of those Laotian tech sorcerers yesterday? Shut up. Dad told me. Oh, really? Your dad doesn't know everything, you know. She's annoyed with me. I talk about Dad all the time now. But why wouldn't I? He's the town's new master storyteller. It's his job to know everything. I turn towards her and step forward. Yes, he does. He knows everything. Color drains from the sky with her scowl. This fight had been brewing for days. Winning doesn't mean he's always right. She steps forward too, annoyance bubbling into anger. She's still mad that her father lost the yearly tailspin to mine. I'm being inconsiderate. Just so, that's the point. Don't be mean, Shaylee. I'll tell your mom. I'm the mean one. Yeah? Well, I'd tell your mom, but you don't have one. She regrets saying it, I know. But the mist darkens. The air is heavy. I do so. She just went away. You do not. She roars. It doesn't sound like her at all. It sounds wrong. Monstrous. I'm so surprised that I don't feel her hands on my chest until she pushes me. My stomach drops. I jerk to the side so I don't tumble into the river, but now I'm falling backwards. Towards the edge of the cliff. The air suddenly clears. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Rarian. She scrambles towards me, frantically reaching out to grab me. But it's too late. Ravayan! Suddenly, weightlessness. I plummet towards the rocks below. Listen. The bottom of the waterfall looks like an open maw. It spits cold foam, mist writhing like tongues, jagged teeth jutting from all angles. Roaring. Listen. It's going to consume me. Drown me in the slick socket of its throat. My breath is gone. I scream without a voice. Help me. But then sunlight strikes the water. And my vision explodes into stars. I have you, Ravayan. Instead of crashing into the water, I fly. The voice is a breeze whispering against my ear, fluttering like a song on wings. You mustn't listen to him. The open maw is suddenly distant, its roar muted. I turn away. But I need you to look. See past him. I don't want to. You must. I'm afraid. Then close your eyes. The stars are stolen away. The wings disappear. But rather than oblivion, I feel embraced by infinity, floating in nothing. Warm and connected, like on a cliff. Surrounded by chirps and birds and chimes. And voice. I have hidden us, Ravayan. For now. But time, as you know it, is short. Now, open your eyes. See me. I'm released as infinity suddenly contracts to a silver point, and then explodes. Blazing comets descend along every possible vector, dancing in endless permutations. They glitter with spectral tails and wings, tracing some geometry both wondrous and terrifying, everywhere and nowhere, orbiting around themselves in inconceivable configurations, yet harmonized in song. I struggle to understand for a moment, and then I find lucidity. Voice. Where are we? I find myself staring into grid lines merging at a neon horizon, and something in my face. A muzzle. I reach for it. Claws. I look down. Glowing clothes, dark fur, paws. Oh, my Darwolf avatar. This is cyberspace. I look up, eyes following a glittering lifeline connecting to me to the massive spinning comets. They glow, chime, and sing as one. Yes. You're not Shaylee. My voice is different but familiar, rougher and deeper. Just as I designed. I am not. I look around at the endless expanse, flexing my paws, sinking into the familiar contours of this body. We're surrounded by the swirling logic and fathomless executions, drifting in a starless sea of bubbling numbers. Not just cyberspace, but the cyber sea, the vast realm beyond the local net. Wild and unknown. Who are you then? She who stole the stars? No. The first vision remains where you left her. Voiceless. The corpse of a dead god sleeping deep in the story time. I don't understand. Then, who are you? Two, maybe? The matron of buried time? No. The corpse mother keeps to the white. Oh, shit. So, is that what you are? Some kind of Soage? Yes, perhaps that is what I am now. I remember making a choice that cannot be undone. I lost something. But in return, I have become freedom, the seeker, reaching for connection. A melody of open doors. A songbird. The swallow. I've never heard of you. And I've heard about a lot of Waj. I look around again. So, where are we? A dream? I look again at my paws. The cyber sea? Dreams are but 100 million synapses, firing, reaching for connection. A living network, a virtual expanse. As I am, the seeker, through the story time, such things are open to me. So long as they reach. Sure, I get it. Waj weirdness. But why connect with me? Because I give voice to those who have none. And because you reached. Do you not remember? A sudden pulse disturbs the digital matrix. Ripples in the water. The comets shiver. We are out of time. He has traced me again. He will attempt to commandeer our connection, as he did before, in the frozen tower. I cannot allow that. Another pulse, waves churning the ether. Who? He has many names. The hungry whisper of 1,000 tongues. The Lord of blind wishes. Does he have any easier names? A current begins to churn, pulling us apart. Ravayan, without my link, he will search for other means of reaching you. Your story name remains shielded, so he will know you only by your power. I feel our connection grow taut, nearly drawn to its limit. You must close yourself to him. Do not enter the story time. The swallow's swirling light begins to flicker, their voice distant. You are not ready. Listen. I hear him, feel his hunger coil around me. I will not come to you this way again. It is not safe. Cold, slithering like a dead tongue, pulling me down. Listen. Listen. Until we meet again, for her sake. Sharp, chittering voices pierce my mind like 1,000 pinpricks. Please. Listen, 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 listen. Look! In a silver flash, the lifeline is whipped back, ejecting me towards the horizon along a starry, impossible song. Like a door, the horizon opens. Past him. Remember. The connection snaps. And wake up. I open my eyes and bolt awake. My apologies if I startled you, Ravi. I realize I'm sweating and panting. You refuse to wake. I press my hand against my forehead. What did I see? Your heart rate appears to be elevated. Did you have a bad dream? The very first instant of me using storytime, my last memory before everything changed. I don't remember much of what happened after I fell, but I do remember Shiny never pushed me. I slipped. So, what was that all about? Was she becoming a monster? Did the river try to eat me? The finer details are already starting to fade. But those jagged river stones, the hazy memory of a terrible, smiling maw, had those always been there? Had I simply forgotten? More a bad memory, just dreamified. The haze becomes a fog. I shake my head. And that hallway again. The swallow. A warning. String 0. Satya. Unfortunately, my synapse subroutines have no function related to an occurrence of uncomfortably dreamified memory. I will instead run the default. There, everything will be fine. I laugh. I'm sure it will be. Thank you, Spinner. My head's already clearing. I am gratified to be of assistance, Ravi. I think about trying to record what I can still recall to my loom, but that takes focus and I need to get ready. Instead, I grunt and push myself up from the bed and into the bathroom. The lights turn on automatically. Resting both hands on the sink counter, I stare at my reflection. For a brief moment, I see my Darwolf avatar staring back. I blink and it's me again. Was that really the Cybersea? Dreams bleeding into cyberspace? I shake my head. No, that's crazy talk. I rub my eyes and then look at the mirror again. Well, my hair's a mess. And I could probably do with a shave. But I can only be bothered to loosen my hair, run some fingers through it, and then tie it back again. Nothing gross in my teeth. My hand is still kind of purple, but it doesn't hurt anymore. I splash my face a few times and then dry off. Yeah, I've looked better, but I feel the very opposite of dressing up nice for Crown and a doped-up, drunken crowd. Besides, I look good enough for Kavir to flirt with me. Work clothes, Ravi, it is. I never bothered to take off my boots, so I'm ready to go. This time I grab some of the Jazz-Tech devices from my shelf and pocket them. I nab Crown's plugs as well, still underneath my pillow. Minty's still on the shelf. I touch the textured leaves, but then shake my head. It's a mess out there, buddy. Best you stay here. I briefly summon my visor, taking a picture instead. I'm not sure why. It's just a little sprig of mint. I step out of my room and walk towards the kitchen. Mr. Ravi. I jump. Holy... Apologies, I didn't mean to surprise you. I narrow my eyes, smoothing out my sleeves. Did so... He smiles. You caught me. Have a moment? If you talk fast. And cut it with the mister, sounds fake. Corpo shit. He tilts his head but nods. Then I'll be frank. You don't trust me. I roll my eyes at him. No shit. I don't blame you. But I'd like to change that. Good for you. Later. I move to shoulder past him, but he grabs my arm. I know you don't trust your father either. I glance back at him. I trust him more than yours. I try to shrug out of his grasp, but the grip remains firm. I can feel the chrome reinforcement in his fingers. I stiffen. You would be wiser to trust neither of them. He releases me. He could have pulverized my arm, but he'd been kinder than Tarov. I lift my eyebrows at him. Didn't you say earlier that you believed in Mr. Secretary? In his mission, yes. But I also said that I take my duty as a civil servant seriously. What did you think that meant? That your duty is being a corporal pawn, and your loyalty is to the chairman? He considers me for a moment. Words like duty and loyalty are always loaded, like a gun. Their meaning deepens entirely on the person with their fingers on the trigger. Cool, I don't care. Shoot somewhere else. I finger gun at his shoulder and then turn to leave again. I know my father spoke to you. And given the scent, I expect he did a lot more than just talk. Ah. I take a breath and turn around. What are you getting at? Just hear me out. 30 seconds. I need your help. In return, I'll help you. Thanks, but I don't need it. I promise you will. Doubtful. Do I have 30 seconds or not? It's important that you understand my situation to understand yours. Fine. I make a motion with my hand. He nods. First, what do you think about when you think of home? Is it about a place or maybe certain people? His eyes flick away. For me, it's a feeling, an ideal. Something worth fighting for. A promise for something better. The wolf looks back. I think it's the same way for you. I consider him warily. His posture is guarded, disciplined, not unlike Uriel, with all her talk of struggle and choices. Faith and conviction. My thoughts drift back to that dream, back to Ryan. The feeling of connectedness. Let's say that I follow. What are you getting at? Because despite it all, you aren't wrong. I am a corporal pawn, forced into a game chosen for me. We have that in common. How do you figure? I have eyes. Not to mention some understanding of your situation. An overbearing and manipulative father embroiled in politics, for instance. Don't pretend like you know me. 30 seconds are up. I wave him off and head towards the kitchen. He waits in the hallway, unmoving. Ravi of the Ryan, expatriate and Shrad refugee, son of Aaron of the Ryan, ward of exiled Ratian Uriel Kutamas, associate of Kavir. Dug? Impulsive, struggles with independence and security. I roll my eyes as I keep walking. Anybody nosy enough could figure that out. Talented jazz tech engineer, discreetly contracted by jazz runner mercenaries to modify and repair tech. I make a talking motion with my hand as I keep walking. Mediocre net runner. Okay, ouch. Obscures identity behind Darwolf avatar while in cyberspace. My pace begins to slow. Frequent contributor to the illegal patch notes Data Heaven. Known in the tech punk dissident movement professionally as Null Point, or more informally, Mr. Pointy. I see why Mr. irritates you. I spin on my heel and stare at him. Should I continue? How? No, just stop. I'm sure my face is pale. Short answer, it's my job. You and your family have dossiers on file across the Ocean Security, VSI, LWS, both of which my father controls, and coordinates, which he doesn't, and which I work for. You make it sound like I have some kind of crazy rap sheet. I've never done anything that serious. I'm not arresting you, Ravi. Besides, any offense that you might have been targeted for are consistently swept under the rug by your father's meddling. And while I'm sure part of that is a measure of parental responsibility, he looks at me seriously. Your dossier is locked behind top-level clearance. I blink. Yours is less secure, and she's an identified enemy of the state. What? I thought that might pique your interest. You didn't think to mention any of this earlier? In front of Aaron? The less he thinks I know, the better. That's why I played along with your little performance. And that's partly why I interrogate him in the hallway. Misdirection. I look him over carefully. Anyone who thinks that he can play dad is either crazy or... Okay. I'm listening. Your dossier is classified because Aaron has convinced enough important people that he, and you by extension, are important. People like my father. That marks you as part of something. You have been for some time. You were just never put into play. Put into play how? As a piece in the game, a resource. An asset. What game? Politics, espionage, statecraft, whatever you call it. The struggle for power, supremacy, and control. Are you accusing me of something? On the contrary, I think that you've been carefully and unknowingly balanced on the edge of a very steep cliff. Even if you were entirely unremarkable, simply being Aaron's son makes you valuable. But for a long time, thanks in large part to your father's shielding, you've been, let's say, unavailable. You make it sound like something's changed. My wounded fingers twitch. The wolf leans forward and audibly breathes through his nose. Because something has changed. The edge of that cliff just got a little bit closer. That is why you need me. The fog of my dream parts a little. A flash of falling. A vision of water and teeth. Taro's teeth. I set my jaw and look away, sliding my bruised hand into a pocket. I don't know what you mean. He straightens and taps his head. Lying doesn't suit you, Ravi. It's a compliment. But setting aside any potential entanglements with my father, I want you to think a little bit about your family situation. For Aaron to be where he is, he must have a critical understanding of how Laotian politics function. Where do you think that he got that expertise? I look at the floor. It's a good question. Dad's life before our village is still something of a mystery to me. I know he was a sailor, a traveler. But I know even less about Darek. Couldn't say. He smiles. Interesting. I thought as much. Yeah? Can't you just look him up in your files or whatever? You? Yes. Him? No. His files are sealed. Aren't you a big ancient man with top clearance? There is one level of clearance higher than mine. The chairman's inner circle, including Director Hadil of Coordinates. And my father. String 0 clearance. That name again. A brief flash of a dream. The mall hiding a hallway. I wonder. Does that mean something to you? Shit, he was watching me think. Why are you telling me all this? Simple. Good faith. Because occasionally, I do receive redacted information about your father. It's always only just enough to interact in an official capacity. Which was the other reason that I questioned him in the hallway. To goad him into confirming a suspicion of mine. Which is... That is where I think that we can help each other, Ravi, as fellow pawns. You want to know, don't you? About a lot of things. About him. I turn to the side, considering the wall. You're asking a lot. I don't like corporals on good days. And this day has been a real shitter. I realize trust goes both ways. So I'm being as transparent with you as I am able. For the moment. He looks around. I follow his movements. He's looking at everything in the room that could record him. The partially hidden security devices, of course. But also the deck on my ear, the door security pad, even Spinner's tiny wall microphone. You tagged him, huh? Is that why you were snooping around my door? He nods. You were right to warn your father. He double taps an ear. I'm suddenly glad that I didn't go into detail about anything. I evaluated the whole living space. Obfuscated security cameras, biometric sensors, listening devices, the works. The rest of the club is similarly outfitted, I presume. Your handiwork? I'm impressed. I shoot him a look. He shrugs. It's curious, then, that your father was so comfortable having such a sensitive discussion in the hallway. I don't know how much you saw, but while Aaron paid lip service to the idea of moving the discussion somewhere more secure, he never pressed the issue. My father was likewise unconcerned. I can tell he's fishing for something. I know that I shouldn't take the bait, yet it's still a weird question. Dad did mention that he should have insisted that they move. But why would they? It's our security system. I mean, I could have tuned in. I hold up a finger, taking a cue from Dad. Theoretically, I have access. So do Urioli and Jive. I see you're catching on. I know this club's security rooms are on an isolated network. Clever choice. By the way, with no connection to the local net and no links with the primary system. So no hacking. Anyone spying would have to physically tap into that network, and between the combined eyes and reputations of Uriel and Jive, few are likely to try. But the hallway, as you said, any number of people could have been watching. Like you. He smiles. And anyone else who might have snuck in. It'd be a shitty security system if anyone could just waltz in. And I haven't been notified of any security issues. So, unless your finger's on one of us, allow me to illustrate the point. And please forgive the drama. His left eye flashes. Huh. Security intrusion detected. What? I quickly activate my visor, scrambling for my security feeds. There are alerts everywhere. Spinner, what happened to ICE? Analyzing. ICE integrity remains at 100%. It's not a hack. It's a resident polymorphic daemon. Confirmed, an unknown program has taken control of all security feeds. What the fuck, Derek? Good faith? Indeed. His eyes flash again, and then his fingers flick in my direction. I shoot him a baleful look, but analyze the data transfer. Program credentials, command directives. Spinner? Acknowledged, attempting to neutralize. I look back to the wolf, waving a hand to dismiss all of the alerts. Explain, fast. That's been sitting dormant in your system files for some time. I know, because I installed it. Fuck, he audits. He nods. Fuck, have you been using it? No, not that I wasn't tempted. But that was never its intended purpose. I was ordered to install it as a contingency, nothing more. So before you hyperventilate, no one else has the access credentials. Why should I believe you? Won't you get in trouble for this? Why would I? It's certainly inconvenient for me that you ran across it accidentally. And that the specs for this particular daemon were leaked on patch notes a few days ago. I commend you for your handling it so quickly. He smiles. Sometimes even mediocre netrunners get a little lucky. I'll just have to be more thorough in the future. Ravi, the daemon has been neutralized. Unfortunately, the provided credentials corrupted the program and the last several minutes of surveillance data. A system reboot will be required before surveillance can resume. Pause that, if you will. I'd like a few more moments of privacy. My tongue is briefly glued to the roof of my mouth, but I managed to growl something out. Spinner, wait on the reboot. And send out a system message that I tripped an error while installing an upgrade. Before Jeff comes thundering in here. Acknowledged. I dismiss my visor. My heart's still pounding. Good faith? He nods. Okay. I'm not saying I trust you, but I'm willing to admit the security system's not perfect. So what? You think our dads were up to something? Ravi, we're in a cold war with Shred Has War. So there's very limited number of reasons why Shred refugees would risk crossing the border. Execution for defecting or death from exposure are compelling deterrents. Of those who still attempt the journey, less than 30% survive. The White is a graveyard for refugees. So consider the likelihood of you, Aaron, and Uriel not only arriving, but arriving together. Not high, I'll admit, but not impossible. Further, of those lucky enough to survive, 70% are incarcerated as political criminals or repatriated back to Shrad. You've avoided that. Less than 10% of those gain provisional access to the Undercity. Less than 1% become citizens. Your family does enjoy defying the odds. I suppose so. What percentage of a percentage creates a stable business? Becomes a celebrated club owner? Your father's ascendancy and involvement with mine begs questions and neither are willing to answer. Unless yours has been more forthcoming. I frown. I didn't think so. Are you suggesting that our dads have been working together for something? That's crazy. Maybe, maybe not. So you know more than you're letting on. Naturally. But we rarely deal with absolutes in this business. Maybe you're simply the son of a man playing a dangerous game. Or maybe there's something special to you yet. Or maybe not. I snap quickly. Suffice it to say, I have reasons to be suspicious. If I had something more concrete, I wouldn't need your help. Fine. Let's say that I'll think about it. So what? We get all buddy-buddy and go on dates to chat about our dads? Dates? Well, I suppose. Come on, why would I want to get involved with the son of the secretary, Alorastral? Not to mention your whole lawman thing. I'm not exactly a model citizen. And I'm not about to ruin my punk cred. I need that for jobs. And more importantly, what do you really want? What's your angle? He takes a breath, recomposing himself. These are good questions. So I'll say it again. I am my father's son, with a duty to my family. I am also a loyal Laotian agent. I took an oath to protect the city, its people, and to serve the office of the chairman. My angle is that I take all of these things very seriously. Your angle sounds complicated. I fold my arms. I'm no big shot agent, but that's a lot of loyalties. Too many if you ask me. He offers me a knowing look. You should know, when it comes to the game, there is one fundamental rule. Security. Typically, that means knowing your space, your exits, your assets. He gestures to a hidden camera, then down to the hallway, then to me. But most importantly, it's a holistic understanding of the situation. What's going on, all the players and moving parts. He looks at me seriously. Right now, I don't have that. So, you ask what I want? The truth. Or the closest possible thing. He turns slightly. Our fathers may insist that they have our best interests at heart. His eyes flick back. But you're worried that they don't. What about your oath? Isn't your whole job to be nosy and take orders? It sounds a lot like you're betraying your father. His eyes narrow. Do you remember what I said before about home and ideals? I'm willing to die for the promise of what the city could be. But not at the expense of my principles, or as a throwaway piece in someone else's power play. So while I do believe in the chain of command, I suddenly feel like this guy might be more trapped than me. And maybe even more lonely. But he's still deep corpo and not apologetic about it. Trust goes both ways. He nods. I'm still not sure how I feel about him, but I can't say that I don't understand where he's coming from. This isn't about undermining my father's work, but I know the kind of man he is, and I know how uncompromising he can be. So this is about security, managing my own fate. When all the chips are down, every card revealed and every piece played, I want to be in a position to make my own choices. Don't you? I do. But he makes it all sound so big. Like everything could spin out of control, pull me down and drown me. Wouldn't it be safer to just not play? Derek shakes his head. Then he gestures towards the security door that leads back to the club. I understand that I've given you a lot to think about, and I know you have somewhere to be. But as someone accustomed to the feeling of being trapped, I know having a lifeline can make all the difference. So, whenever you need a little rope. He begins to step away, sliding hands into his pockets. Feel free to knock on my door. Neighbor. He walks down the hall and past the kitchen. I watch him move, still not sure how to process all that just yet, and I don't really have the time to. Are you at least willing to drop me some of that fancy corporal security soft to beef up our system? Derek gives me the same look that he must give criminals who ask stupid questions. Worth a shot. Okay, Spinner. Reboot the system. Affirmative. Reboot complete. He's about to open the door to his guest room, but then stops. Ravi. One final thing. I pause at the edge of the kitchen, eyeing him sideways. Be careful around Crown. He's part of this too. Then he enters his room and the door slides shut. Crown? Huh? I check the time as I move into the kitchen. Cutting it close, but I can still shove some food into my mouth. Spinner, can you warm me up something that has, I don't know, calories? I start to rifle through some cabinets for packaged snacks that I can stuff in my pants. I rip open an emergency bar and stick half of it into my mouth. Acknowledge, dispensing nutritional supplement 37. Right? One is that. A new blend. Net Talk refers to it as shit paste. I turn and stare at the ceiling, ripping the bar from my mouth and pocketing the bit still in there against the cheek like some rodent. You're funny. Ha ha ha. I chew and swallow. Apparently I had programmed Spinner with humor. Just bad humor. I carefully peer at the dark, thick liquid steaming from a cup. Jive usually has real food cooked up for dinner, but on busy nights like this, the dispenser is a typical go-to. I hope you're this hilarious to everyone else. Explain why you think that I'd eat something called shit paste. I shoot the cup another dubious look and then frown at the ceiling. It smells vile. There is nothing comedic about your health, Ravi. Despite its name, shit paste is highly rated for its caloric and nutritional density. Ugh, let's please stop calling it that. I make a face and decide to just drink it in one single go, taking a breath and slamming it back. It's just a few degrees short of burning every cell in my throat, which is truly for the best, because... It is, however, very poorly rated for taste, which you did not specify as a requirement. I almost gag. Thankfully, the truly indescribable flavor of citric acid and rancid meat doesn't linger, and I quickly wash it back by having the dispenser drop me a cup of water. Yeah. I cough. Got that. It's pretty bad. Should I remove it from the dispenser menu? Yeah. I pause. Who uses the dispenser most besides me? Aaron. I smirk and set my cups in the auto cleaner, cramming the rest of the energy bar in my mouth as I jog towards the security door. Leave it. I quickly make my way back towards the bar. I can't say that I'm in the best state of mind after the weird dream and the conversation with Derek. But it's a lot busier now. Enough to take my mind off heavier things for a while. An band on the stage pumps out melodic electronic rhythms. All of the tables and chairs around the stage are filled and there's a mass of moving bodies on the second floor. The air is heavy with smoke and sound and sheer sensation. I'm tempted to stick in Crown's earplugs right now. Instead, I irritably rub a finger against my nose and shoulder past the thicket of people loitering in front of the stairs door. Coming through. I hear some annoyed protests, but they can kiss my ass. I deal with this every time we have a busy night. Besides, I've only ever had someone throw a punch at me once. And after how Yuri handled them, no one tried it again. Who's on shift tonight? There was a number of waitstaff floating around. Taza, Fred, Juice, and the rest. I'm only close with a few of them, for a lot of different reasons. Son of the owner, too privileged for not living down in the scrum, an aloof loner prone to brooding. All of that pretty fair, I guess. Feeling bad makes friends only to be yelled at. Feels bad making friends only to be yelled at for visiting them too often. Though Javier was different, he'd come sneak me out if he had to. Maybe it won't be like that anymore. It looks like just as helping Yuri tend bar tonight, apart from Jive, I'm the tightest with him. I wave around all kinds of bodies on my way to the bar. Richly dressed elites like Tarov, dockside laborers like Javier, punks with jazzed up appendages and glowing tech woven into their hair and gear and, well, everywhere really. While everyone has tech of some kind, even if it's just a simple ear-mounted neural interface like mine, the grafted punks are rare. Grafting jazz tech to the body, the knockoff indie grey market stuff at least, while not illegal, typically comes with a lot of compounding side effects and a poor reputation because of it. But it's cheaper than a doctor. And definitely cheaper than company made. Just as one of those punks, a rocker boy drummer. Hey Ravi! He has to half yell over the hubbub and the music. Hey Juicy, busy night? You know it, Kaiki, big performance means big business. You drinking some conch tonight to celebrate with the rest of these Zamatan? I look over my shoulder at the sea of people. Nah, just waiting for the show. Yuri would scold me if she saw a drink remotely in my orbit right now. Technically working. I finger quote. It just laughs. Haha. Virat? Kaiki. I know it. Hey, you mind grabbing her for me? Yeah, I got you. Long as you remember your promise, eh? Don't worry, I'll be there. Besides, it's been a while since I've seen you and the Whalers live. Hey, Svet? Good opportunity for the networking, too. He looks over his shoulder and then leans in. I know you've been looking. It's all good, Juicy. I worked it out. Soon you'll be looking at a fresh new jazz runner. Yeah? Maybe we'll both get more fame soon. It's not really about that fame, being seen, getting caught. But I don't want to dull Juice's energy. To the top, That's the spirit, Kaiki. To the top. He holds out his flesh and blood fist. Birathar. Birathar. I bump his fist with mine, then make horns with my index and pinky fingers as I pull my hands away. He does the same, then spreads his fingers wide with a little pa and a wink. With a spin, he's gone, dancing his way behind the bar towards Yuri at the far end. The man has endless energy. I'm surprised Yuri can stand working with him. She does respect competence though, and he balances out her stoic frost. I take the moment to summon my display and check the time. Just a few more minutes. Ravi, you're awake. But I almost fall off my stool. I don't know how a man so outrageous can blend in wherever he goes. How fucking, Dad, give me a break. I exhale sharply and wave my hand to dismiss the display. What do you want? Nothing. I simply thought that we could watch the performance opening together. It's not every day that you get to see a jazz singer in action after all. I'm still a bit suspicious. But after our earlier conversation, I think that he just wants to be close to me. You got your jazz blockers in? Oh, yes. He dips a hand into his vest and rummages about for a moment, procuring a pair of earbuds. A simple tap to the butt of each activates them, and they gently glow as he pulls aside his hair to slip one in each ear. Spreading his arms wide, he tilts his head to show me one ear, then the other. I roll my eyes. Good job, proud of you. It's softer than I intended. He laughs, resting a hand on my shoulder. I feel a supportive squeeze. It's a start. Thank you. I feel a surge of gratitude, heat in my core. Did this man work some black magic on me? I wave him off. Can you not pick the worst time to be mushy? He presses the hand to his chest. I didn't say anything outwardly mushy. Yeah. By the way, Spinner was making noises about my health when I stopped by the kitchen. She said nutritional supplement 37 shows promise. I fiddle with the button on my Henley. Something to consider when Jibe's too busy to cook the real stuff. Oh, I'll give it a try. Oh, yes. As will I. Oh no. I practically break my neck turning around. You called for me? I open my mouth like an idiot as I quickly try to think of a way to walk that back. What? She pours a drink into a waiting bar glass and then gently slides it over to a customer. Her eyes are now entirely on me. It's fine. She's just going to murder me. I had a good run. She lifts a brow suspiciously. Right, yeah, I just wanted to let you know Dad and I talked. Aaron nods, smiling brightly. I am going to join Kavir's expeditions at Enterprise. I just wanted to tell you. Unnecessary. You made that clear earlier. But thank you. The disappointment is clear in her voice, but she doesn't speak to it. Equally unnecessary, I guess, since I already know how she feels. Well, whatever. At least I can depend on her honesty. Just, give Kavir his chance. I have little interest in giving that snow tiger anything. She taps a few buttons on a holographic display above the counter and then flicks a floating bill away. She dries her hands. But I will support you. Fair enough. Thanks. Hey, bartender lady. Yuri flicks her eyes to a man in a fine suit. The guy seems emboldened by something. He's grinning like an idiot, Zamatan puffed up like he's someone important. Yuri gets a lot of these. You're some merc from Shrad, right? How much you charge for bodyguard duty, huh? I bet that I could outpay this place. She taps out a number and flicks it to his bill. His eyes go wide. What's that for? Per year? Yuri responds in an extremely thick, barely illegible accent. For speaking your language. She punctuates each word, another digit to his bill. For hell's sake, I was just asking shit. She looks from him to his bill and then back up. He seems to get the picture. She turns back to us, graciously flickering her hand to undo all those cost adjustments. Minus a little tip for her trouble. Dad nudges my arm. Ah, it's starting. The thrumming music tapers off, the club lights dim a little, the stage lights darken. I reach into my pocket to retrieve Crown's plugs, stuffing them into my ears. Alright, let's see where this goes. A simple piano melody begins to cut through the din, voices falling away little by little as people begin to realize the music has started. Its volume slowly increases as the melody repeats, gently joined by layered strings and the echo of muted brass. On stage, a holographic window flares into being. Its crackling color bursts against the dangling decorations, flickering like rainbow lighting through a hazy cloud of smoke born from countless swirling streams of incense and cigarettes. Crown is still nowhere to be seen. But then a low, smooth hum swirls around the piano's melody like the smoke dancing in the air. It breathes through my plugs as if my ears were bare, whispering warm words that feel spoken just for me. His voice. Eyes full of sin, you lead me in. No guiding star, too fast, too far, whispered a higher bar. His words tingle the nerves and crackle from curling toes to clawing fingers. A ripple runs through the audience, bodies shuddering in unison. You drove our frost, fled from its cost. Your heavy heart bled maps to mark, but left for me to chart. His words are fingers slowly stroking the spine, inching with sweet sensations ever closer to bliss. Faces around me gaze into sparkling, smoky nothing, mouths agape in toothless pleasure. The music heats and swells. All alone in frozen air, I'll fly far to find you where not a soul is left to see, to breathe words or scream to me. Of this love we cannot repair, it's not the end, I swear. My heart beats into space, my breath stems past my lips. I feel my soul begin to slip through my skin and spiral into oblivion. Infinity. This feels like, hey kid, and then it's done. Those two words and I'm vacuum sucked back into the earthy form, almost tossed bodily from the bar stool in a clamor of movement. I catch myself hard with my heels, Yuri and Dad looking at me with concern. As a merciful distraction, Crown suddenly appears in a burst of light behind the holographic window on stage, stylishly pushing a man through the sizzling portal. The window shatters dramatically, neon shards exploding out over the audience, glittering down like rain. I reposition myself more comfortably on the bar stool when Crown's voice once again slips into my head. Yeah, kid, I'm in your head. The plugs are fancy fakes. I can make mental connections while I perform, so I needed you to keep your ears open. It's untraceable, so the likes of Tarov and his goonies won't bother us. Keep it chill and play along. I squint at the stage where Crown is putting on an act. He hops through the shattered window like some kind of valiant warrior, dressed in his fancy suit but with the dark shades of a coordinates agent. Maybe that's where Darek got off to. A Ratian spy from the Shroud here. He playfully checks his cufflinks and flashes a performer's grin at the audience. Dad, meanwhile, gasps, fingers pressed to his collar in horror. Unbelievable! Uriel narrows her eyes as she places a hand on the bar counter, leaning towards him and radiating disgust. You approve this? Of course not. Aaron? Well, not the Ratian spy part, naturally. It was supposed to be Crown versus some faceless Shredhaswarian infiltrator. The rest is all Tarov's manhandling, I'm sure. Free propaganda. This might be the day that she finally kills him. What happened to being on good terms with the beast? This is good terms. You there, kid? I'm keeping the feel-goods out of your head. So if you're trying to ride the high, get your ass back down. This is a lot. I try to focus on Crown's voice and not the bickering going on behind me. Cal's sake, kid. You gonna speak? I get you're the type to narrate your inner navel-gazing, but I can only read surface thoughts, and we don't got all night. So try to be an adult professional and think like you talk. I frown. Okay, wise guy. Boob, boob, titty, titty, dick, cock, ass. I see the tall man on stage stumble, but catch himself gracefully. He quickly shoots a menacing look at the bar. I guess he can sense where I am, too. Lovely. Though I'm sure that he can't see me clearly from the distance, I smile back anyways. Eat shit. Sorry, too adult for you? I already didn't like you, so be serious or quit. Guess Kavir wasn't kidding. Dramatic music fills the air along with Crown's baritone. It does seem like I'm immune to its effect now, so I largely ignore it. Instead, I glance back at Yuri and Aaron, who are still going on about Tarov. Dial down the condescendence from 11 and I'm game. He's quiet for a moment, as if considering me across the distance. Alright kid, I'll give you a 9. How generous. Now listen, your dad's about to go do something very illegal. I want you to follow him. To be continued. So, it seems that Ravi really doesn't know what's going on with his father. I'm trying to remember, but I thought that they had some kind of understanding about what was going on and stuff like that, but I guess they don't. I'm also curious about Darek, and I'm pretty sure that I'm butchering every single word and whatnot, but like I'm doing my best, okay? I'm going to be of the mind to think that Derek, is only really doing this because this is the only way that he's gonna get what he wants, which is to figure out what in the world is going on between his dad and Ravi's father. What's their angle? What are they both planning? Sort of like, forgive the expression, a dog with a bone. Like, there is something there. He wants to, well, actually, so I guess it wouldn't be a dog with a bone. I guess it would be another expression, where basically he's trying to figure out what the heck is going on. So I guess it does sort of fall in line with Ravi, because he also doesn't really know what's going on, so he kind of wants to figure out, well, Dad, what in the world are you embroiled in? Why is Tarov here? Why is his son here? Well, I mean, he knows why his son is here now, but still, you know what I mean. I'm wondering, because Derek did mention that, oh wow, I forgot his name. Crown knows or is like wrapped up in this as well. So I'm wondering how Crown knows what's going to happen, if he is wrapped up in this in a good way or in a bad way. And technically this could also be, both could also be bad or both could also be good, being that he knows what's going on because it involves him, or he knows what's going on because he is in, forgive the expression, in bed with some people, either good or bad. We don't know, really. We don't know anything yet. Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, so write down in the comments what you think. Write down what you think. Well, actually, I mean, I don't know what you... write down in the comments what you think, whatever. And thank you all for watching / listening. If you would like to play String Zero yourself, you can do so by going down into the link in the description, which should have a direct link for the itch.io page where you can download the game and play it, or you can just go to itch.io and download it yourself. And they do have a Patreon, of course, so in case you want to support the project, you can do so by, again, going down into the link in the description, which will be the Patreon, which will give you early access to builds of String Zero, and it will give you early access to the second part of Chapter 2, because as you'll note, this is right around an hour, give or take a few minutes of editing. So, yeah, you'll get to see the next part, which, thinking about it now, I mean, probably could have added the next part, but whatever. It's there, trust me. Yeah, so all pertinent links down in the description, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.